In the vastness of space, a powerful alien fleet soared through the stars. Their ships were sleek and menacing, shining with a cold blue light. The leaders of this fleet, known as the Zarkons, had just achieved what they believed was their greatest victory. They had wiped out humanity. On the bridge of their flagship, General Vorn stood proudly, looking at the star map that showed Earth glowing dimly, a symbol of their conquest. "Today we celebrate," General Vorn declared, his voice booming through the chamber. His soldiers cheered, their voices echoing off the metallic walls. They believed they had successfully exterminated every human. They thought that the Earth was theirs for the taking, and they planned to strip it of resources and make it a new home for their kind. But unknown to the Zarkons, a small group of super soldiers had survived. Deep in the Arctic, hidden beneath layers of ice, these soldiers were humanity's last hope. They were not ordinary humans. They had been genetically enhanced to withstand extreme conditions and possess extraordinary abilities. Their mission was to protect Earth, even if it meant fighting back from the shadows. In a secret underground base, the super soldiers began to awaken. The base was cold and dark, illuminated only by the soft glow of emergency lights. Commander Ray, the leader of the soldiers, opened his eyes and blinked against the brightness. He could feel the cold air around him, but the chill did not bother him. He was trained for this. He quickly assessed his team, ensuring everyone was accounted for. "Status report!" Ray commanded, his voice steady and strong. "We are awake and ready, Commander," replied Sergeant Nina, her eyes sharp and focused. "But we need to know what's happening outside. We can't let the Zarkons claim our planet." Ray nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Let's gather information. We need to understand what we're up against." The soldiers moved quickly, their training kicking in as they suited up for their mission. They armed themselves with advanced weapons, designed to combat the alien technology they might face. Their hearts raced with a mix of fear and determination. They knew they had to act fast. As they made their way to the surface, the soldiers couldn't help but feel the tension in the air. It had been years since they last felt the warmth of the sun or the soft breeze against their skin. They emerged from the ice, and what they saw shocked them. The skies above were filled with alien ships, dark clouds of smoke rising from cities that once bustled with life. Earth was in ruins. Ray felt anger boil within him. "They think they've won." "We will show them they are wrong," he declared, his voice strong. The soldiers looked at each other, sharing a silent understanding. They would fight back, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. They quickly began to scout the area, using their skills to stay hidden from the alien forces patrolling nearby. The Zarkons, confident in their victory, were unprepared for the fight that was coming. The super soldiers watched as the aliens moved through the streets, securing their hold on the territory. The aliens were powerful, but the super soldiers were determined. "Commander, we need a plan," Nina said, breaking the silence. "We can't just charge in, we need to be smart about this." Ray nodded, thinking hard. "We have to disrupt their supply lines. If we can hit them where it hurts, we can make them vulnerable. We'll strike at night, when they least expect it." The soldiers agreed, each feeling a surge of adrenaline at the thought of taking action. They spent the next few hours planning their attack, studying the alien movements and mapping out their strategy. The soldiers felt the strength of their unity, ready to face the challenge ahead. As night fell, the super soldiers prepared for battle. Dressed in dark gear, they crept through the snow, ready to reclaim their home. The fire in their hearts burned brighter than the icy landscape around them. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the spirit of humanity itself. With each step, they knew they were not alone. The memory of those they had lost fueled their determination. The Zarkons may have thought they had won, but the fight was far from over. The super soldiers were ready to rise from the ashes and confront their enemies with everything they had. They would not allow Earth to fall without a fight. The Arctic night was cold and silent, but beneath the thick layers of ice, a group of extraordinary soldiers prepared to rise. Commander Ray led the team of super soldiers, each one a testament to humanity's will to survive. They had trained for years to fight against any threat, and now they faced the greatest challenge of their lives. As they gathered in their command center, a sense of urgency filled the air. The flickering lights illuminated their determined faces. Ray looked at his team, seeing the mixture of anxiety and excitement in their eyes. "We've waited long enough," he said, his voice steady. "Now it's time to show the Zarkons that we are still here and ready to fight." Sergeant Nina stepped forward, her expression fierce. "We need a solid plan to strike first. The longer we wait, the more control they gain over our land." The group nodded in agreement. They had lost so much already, and the thought of letting the aliens take everything fueled their determination. Ray pulled up a holographic map of the area, displaying the locations of alien patrols and supply lines. The map showed the layout of the alien forces, a mix of ground troops and heavy vehicles, all moving through the icy landscape. "Here," Ray pointed at a cluster of red dots on the map. "These are their supply depots. If we can cut off their supplies, we can weaken them significantly." Nina's eyes lit up with inspiration. "If we can create a diversion, we can slip in and sabotage their resources." "They won't know what hit them." Ray smiled at her enthusiasm. "Exactly. We'll split into 2 teams. One will create the diversion, and the other will hit the supply depot. We'll strike at dawn when they are least prepared." The soldiers began to gear up, putting on their advanced armor designed to withstand extreme cold and enhance their strength. Each piece was a reminder of their training and purpose. As they prepared, the team shared stories and laughter, building camaraderie that would serve them well in battle. "Remember our training," Ray reminded them. "Stick together and watch each other's backs. We are a team, and we will win this together." As dawn approached, the first team, led by Nina, moved silently through the snow. They made their way to the alien patrols, ready to create chaos. Nina's heart raced as they hid behind large rocks, watching the aliens march in tight formations. The aliens were armed and confident, still unaware of the threat that lay in the shadows. "On my signal," Nina whispered. The tension built as they waited for the perfect moment. Finally, she raised her hand, signaling her team to launch their surprise attack. With a sudden burst of energy, they charged into the alien ranks, their battle cries echoing through the cold air. The element of surprise worked in their favor as they quickly took down several alien soldiers. Their advanced training and teamwork shone through as they fought with precision. Meanwhile, Ray's team slipped away toward the supply depot. They moved with purpose, utilizing their stealth to avoid detection. The closer they got, the more the soldiers could hear the alien machinery humming and the sound of voices discussing their next moves. "This is it," Ray said quietly, signaling for them to take their positions. They crouched behind a snowbank, observing the aliens loading supplies into their vehicles. Ray could see that the Zarkons were careless, believing they had nothing to fear. "Now!" Ray shouted, and the team sprang into action. They burst from their hiding spots, weapons drawn, and charged toward the supplies. The aliens were caught off guard, confusion spreading through their ranks as the soldiers began to disable equipment and destroy supplies. Ray fought fiercely, using his enhanced strength to throw alien soldiers aside and create chaos. His team moved like a well-oiled machine, working together to maximize their impact. Explosions erupted around them as they set off devices to create further destruction. The aliens, now fully aware of the threat, began to fight back. But the super soldiers were relentless, determined to prove that humanity was far from defeated. Ray felt a surge of adrenaline as they pushed deeper into the depot, knowing that every second counted. Outside, Nina's team continued to battle the alien patrols, drawing attention away from Ray's mission. They fought valiantly, knowing their efforts were crucial to the success of the plan. As the sun rose higher, illuminating the snowy landscape, the super soldiers felt a renewed sense of hope. They were no longer the hidden remnants of humanity. They were warriors, ready to reclaim their world. With every blow struck and every alien defeated, they demonstrated that they would not go quietly into the night. They were fighting for their home, their friends, and the future of humanity. Together, they would awaken the spirit of resistance that lay dormant within the ruins of their planet. The cold wind howled through the Arctic landscape as the battle raged on. The super soldiers fought with everything they had, each one driven by a fierce desire to reclaim their home. Explosions lit up the sky, sending bright flashes of light across the snow. Smoke billowed into the air, creating a thick haze that covered the once peaceful land. Commander Ray stood at the heart of the action, his heart pounding as he scanned the area. Around him, his team was engaged in a fierce firefight with the Zarkon forces. The alien soldiers, now aware of the threat, had regrouped and were fighting back with deadly precision. "Keep moving!" Ray shouted, urging his team forward. "We can't let them take control!" Nina was at his side, expertly firing her weapon and taking down enemies with each shot. They're coming from the east, she yelled, pointing to a group of Zarkons flanking them. We need to split up! Ray nodded, quickly making a plan. You take the left and I'll handle the right. We'll meet back in the center. The two teams split up, diving into the snowdrifts for cover. As they maneuvered through the chaos, Ray felt a surge of adrenaline. He had trained for this moment, and now it was time to prove their worth. As Ray advanced, he saw several alien soldiers gathering their ranks, preparing for a counterattack. He steadied his breath and charged at them, shouting to draw their attention. "Over here, you cowards!" he taunted, his voice echoing in the cold air. The Zarkons turned, their faces filled with anger as they aimed their weapons at him. But Ray was ready. He ducked and rolled, avoiding their fire while returning shots of his own. His enhanced speed allowed him to dodge and weave through the barrage of alien lasers. Meanwhile, Nina and her team faced their own challenges. The Zarkons were not only well-armed, but also trained for combat. As they fought, the ground shook from the impact of explosions, and the air filled with the sounds of gunfire and alien screeches. "Keep pushing forward!" Nina urged her team. "We're not giving up now." Just then, a loud roar echoed through the battlefield. A massive alien war beast, a creature of muscle and teeth, charged toward them. Its eyes glowed with a menacing light, and its claws dug deep into the snow as it ran. "Watch out!" Nina shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. The soldiers quickly adjusted their focus to the new threat. Ray spotted the creature from afar. "Nina, get to safety!" he yelled, but she was already moving. Nina took aim, her heart racing as she squeezed the trigger. The beast staggered, but it was far from done. It let out a deafening roar and continued its charge. "Fall back!" Nina commanded her team, knowing they needed to regroup. They dodged the creature's massive jaws, working together to flank it from both sides. Ray, still engaged with the alien soldiers, heard Nina's command and turned his attention to the war beast. He ran toward it, drawing its focus. "Hey, big guy!" he shouted, waving his arms. The creature turned, its eyes locking onto Ray as it lunged forward. Ray narrowly avoided its charge, rolling to the side just in time. With quick thinking, he pulled a flash grenade from his belt and tossed it at the beast. The grenade exploded in a blinding flash, stunning the creature momentarily. Ray seized the opportunity. He sprinted forward, using all his strength to strike the creature on the side. The impact knocked it off balance, and Ray quickly climbed onto its back, grappling for control. "Now, Nina!" he yelled, hoping she would see his move. Nina understood. "We need to finish it!" She and her team worked together, firing at the beast's legs and flanks, weakening it further. With Ray holding on, the creature thrashed violently, but he was determined not to let go. "Hold steady!" he shouted, trying to maintain his grip. Finally, with one last push, the soldiers unleashed a flurry of fire. The beast let out a final roar before collapsing into the snow, defeated. Ray jumped off as the creature fell, landing gracefully in the snow. Breathing heavily, he turned to Nina, who was grinning from ear to ear. "That was incredible," she exclaimed. The fight continued around them, but they could feel a shift. The Zarkons were losing ground, their morale shattered by the fall of their fierce beast. The super soldiers took advantage, rallying together to push forward. "Let's finish this!" Ray shouted, and with renewed strength they charged into the fray, fighting not just for survival, but for the very soul of humanity. They were warriors, and they would not back down. The battle in the Arctic was fierce, but as the sun began to set, a sense of victory filled the air. The Zarkon forces were retreating, their morale shattered by the super soldiers' relentless fighting. Ray and his team stood tall, breathing heavily but filled with determination. They had reclaimed a part of their land, but the fight was far from over. "Regroup!" Ray called out, raising his arm to signal his team. The soldiers quickly assembled, their faces marked with determination and exhaustion. "We need to assess our losses and figure out our next move." Nina wiped the sweat from her brow, glancing around at the remnants of the battlefield. "We've pushed them back, but we can't let them regroup. We need to find out what they're planning." Ray nodded in agreement. "Let's search the area. They must have left something behind. We need to learn their secrets." The team moved carefully through the snow, scanning for anything unusual. As they examined the wreckage of alien vehicles, Nina noticed a strange device half buried in the ice. Its surface glowed faintly, hinting at some advanced technology. "Commander, over here!" she called, beckoning Ray and the others to join her. They gathered around the device, curious and cautious. What do you think it is? One soldier asked, squinting at the glowing object. Ray approached, examining the device closely. It looks like some kind of data module. If we can get it to work, we might find valuable information about their plans. With careful hands, Ray began to work on the device. The others stood watch, keeping an eye on their surroundings. The cold air was still, but the tension was palpable. Would they discover something that could change the course of the war? After a few moments of fiddling with wires and buttons, the device suddenly powered on. A holographic display flickered to life, projecting a map of the Arctic region. The soldiers gasped as they saw multiple red dots indicating Zarkon bases, some hidden deep within the ice.
This is it!
Nina exclaimed, pointing at the map. We can use this to plan our next strike. Look at all these locations! Ray's eyes narrowed as he studied the map. But it's not just bases, there are also supply lines and troop movements marked here. We can hit them where it hurts the most. Just then, a voice crackled through the device. It was in a language they didn't understand, but the urgency was clear. The hologram shifted, displaying images of Zarkon leaders discussing plans for a counterattack. Ray and the team leaned in closer, straining to catch every detail. They're planning to bring in reinforcements, Ray translated, his heart racing. If we don't act quickly, we'll be overwhelmed. We need to disrupt their supply lines and prevent them from regrouping. As the hologram flickered, Nina noticed a symbol on the map. What's this area here? She asked, pointing to a location marked with a bright red star. Ray studied it for a moment. That's their main command center. If we can take that out, it might cripple their entire operation. Then that's our target, Nina said, her determination growing stronger. We can't waste any time. Ray agreed. Let's gather our resources and prepare for the mission. We'll move out at first light. As they made their way back to their temporary base, the excitement grew within the team. They were no longer just fighting for survival, they were about to strike a blow against the enemy that could change everything. The secrets they had uncovered gave them hope and a plan. Later that night, as they huddled around a small fire, Ray shared the plan. We'll split into two teams. One will create a distraction while the other targets the command center. We'll use the information we gathered to our advantage. They won't see us coming. Nina looked around at her teammates, each one eager to prove themselves. We've come this far and we can't turn back now. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for all of humanity. The soldiers nodded, feeling the weight of their mission. They had lost so much, but they were ready to reclaim what was theirs. The warmth of the fire flickered in their eyes, and for the first time in a long while, hope began to grow. As they settled down for the night, thoughts of the coming battle filled their minds. They were warriors, and they had a mission. The Zarkons had underestimated humanity, but they were about to learn a hard lesson. With secrets uncovered and plans in place, the super soldiers prepared to rise once again, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun began to rise over the Arctic, casting a pale light on the snow-covered landscape. The air was cold, but the soldiers felt a warm rush of adrenaline coursing through their veins. Today was the day they would take the fight to the Zarkons and reclaim their home. Ray gathered his team, their faces determined and focused. This is it, everyone, he said, his voice steady. We know where they are, and we know their plans. We will hit the command center and cripple their operations. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity. Nina stepped forward, her eyes shining with resolve. We've trained hard for this moment. We know what we're capable of. Let's show those aliens what it means to mess with humans. With a cheer from the team, they set off towards the enemy command center, using the cover of the snow to stay hidden. Each soldier carried advanced weapons, ready for whatever lay ahead. As they moved, the tension in the air was palpable. They were prepared to face their foes. After a long trek, they finally reached the outskirts of the command center. The structure loomed before them, a fortress built into the ice and rock. Zarkon soldiers patrolled the area, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Ray signaled for silence, and the team crouched low, strategizing their approach. Remember the plan, Ray whispered. Nina, you take the left flank with your team. I'll lead the right. We'll create a diversion, then push in together. Nina nodded, her heart racing. Let's make it count. With one last glance at each other, the teams split up, moving stealthily towards their respective positions. The snow crunched underfoot, but they kept their movements silent. Ray's team reached their point, hiding behind large ice formations as they prepared to strike. On my count, Ray instructed, gripping his weapon tightly. 3, 2, 1, go! They burst into action, charging toward the command center while opening fire. Lasers shot through the air, illuminating the morning as chaos erupted. Zarkon's soldiers scrambled to respond, their surprise evident. "Now, Nina!" Ray shouted, knowing her team would be right behind them. Nina's team rushed forward, flanking the Zarkons from the left. The aliens were overwhelmed as they fought on two fronts, caught off guard by the sudden attack. The sound of gunfire and explosions echoed through the icy fortress, creating a cacophony of chaos. Ray led his team through the entrance of the command center, taking down any Zarkon soldier in their path. The corridor was narrow, and they moved quickly, pushing deeper into the heart of the base. "Check your corners," Ray commanded, ensuring everyone stayed alert. They were close now, nearing the control room where the Zarkon leaders would be. As they approached, the door to the control room loomed ahead. "This is it," Ray whispered, adrenaline surging. "On 3, we breach!" The soldiers readied their weapons, hearts pounding. 1, 2, 3. They kicked open the door, charging inside. The control room was filled with Zarkon officers, panic evident on their faces as they scrambled to defend themselves. "Get down!" one officer shouted, ducking behind a console. But it was too late. Ray and his team opened fire, taking down several enemies within moments. Nina entered right behind Ray, covering his flank. "We've got them on the run!" she yelled, her voice filled with excitement. The Zarkons fought back fiercely, but the super soldiers were relentless. They pushed forward, determined to eliminate the threat once and for all. Ray spotted the Zarkon leader, a towering figure in a dark uniform, trying to escape through a back exit. "Not today," Ray shouted, chasing after the leader. He tackled the Zarkon, sending them both crashing to the ground. They struggled, the alien's strength surprising Ray, but he fought back with every ounce of his training. Nina saw Ray struggling and rushed to his side. Together, they overpowered the Zarkon leader, finally pinning them down. "Stop! You cannot win!" the alien gasped, struggling to break free. Ray looked into the creature's eyes, realizing that victory was within reach. "You underestimated humanity," he said firmly, "and now it's time to pay the price." With one final push, Ray and Nina secured the Zarkon leader, ensuring they could not escape. The rest of the Zarkon forces were quickly overwhelmed, their command center falling under the relentless assault of the super soldiers. As the dust settled, Ray stood up, breathing heavily, but feeling the thrill of victory. The command center was theirs, and they had struck a significant blow against the Zarkon invasion. "Victory!" Nina cheered, raising her weapon in triumph. The other soldiers joined her, their voices echoing in the icy halls. They had fought hard and won, proving that humanity would never back down. Today marked the beginning of their fight for freedom, a testament to their strength and determination. The Zarkons had learned a harsh lesson. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and they would stop at nothing to protect their home.